Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So welcome to our weekly youth circle. We're gonna, every month we try and get one special guest from different sectors of the society to teach us about what they do and how they work. So now we're going to have two special guests, but before that we're going to have Tilawa by Yusuf Rahim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين.
Jazakallah for that very beautiful recitation from Yusuf. He's one of our regular people in our youth circle. So moving on, we'll have welcome and DG services by Zainul Abidin. Zainul Abidin is the senior leader of Darul Goresbrook. He is the head of the Universal Services at the London Borough of Barking and Dagenham. Recently, he's been honoured by Her Majesty in the Queen's New Honours List by awarding him a British Empire Medal for his recognition.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've got the right scarf on, innit? Liverpool fan. Who's the Liverpool fan here? Only 5. God, that's not right. We're Man United supporters. Arsenal. United. Chelsea. Tottenham. Oh, all right. Let's move on. So who's come here first time? Darul Ummah. Quite a few people. So some of the regulars you will know about Darul Ummah, Masjid, Goresbrook. So Darul Ummah Shadwell, you know about Darul Ummah Shadwell? So it's like his brother down here, or sister, whatever you want to call it. So Darul Ummah Goresbrook is a branch of Darul Ummah Shadwell. This is a mosque which has been open since last Ramadan. On Sunday, from 10:30 to 12:30, there's a sister circle. So if you let your sisters or your moms know, so mother and daughters can come to that second. We call it Little League, and the idea is we go around the surrounding area of the masjid and we pick litter, and that gives you free exercise, and it's a very good thing to do for the local community, particularly the non-Muslim community who often see us coming into the masjid and not sure what we do here. So when we're out there, we put the holidays. The other day, the lady said, "Where are you from?" And like a few people said, "Look, we just live next door." But obviously they don't necessarily see you or see us. So that's a good thing. We've also had a meeting with the local police. So the police come here and have their safe neighborhood ward panel meeting. And there's various other activities going on. We've got the Darul Ummah Academy, which is a maktab, a madrasa, and some of the young people come to that on a weekday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and there's a class that happens on a Saturday. I know you guys, young people, you come in here, you've got a weekly circle going on. If there is other activity that you want to do, talk to Mehdi, talk to anyone else, and let us know, we will arrange that. Anyone into football? Shall we go football, like training regular? Yeah? I don't know, man. This is young kids. Or shall we do PlayStation? No. But I thought if I said football, everyone said, yeah. So this is a masjid. You come to pray, but at the same time, if you want to have fun and you want to learn, this is the place to be. So if there is football, so if there is other activities you want to take place, any other board games you want, let us know and we'll get it for you. We want you to come here, pray, have fun, and learn at the same time. So let us know. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Zone Sasa, for telling us about Darul Goresbrook and what it can do. Hopefully this all, hopefully we can all come to Darul Goresbrook more frequently and learn more. Next we have Ustad Jabir Chowdhury. He's a law graduate from the University of Essex. He's currently working in the financial markets as a sector as a stock and options trader. He's also worked internationally as a frontline fundraising coordinator, and he's still involved with many of his key projects, and he's currently serving as the Central Secretary of Darul.
I actually thought Sheikh Zillani would go first because I actually wanted to say that I know him very well and I was probably thinking, who is this person? So you actually teach my sister, Prima. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This is my first time here, and alhamdulillah, I'm very impressed. Not only with the place, but with the turnout. So it's nice to see you guys. Given is, what is New Year's resolution? So I'd like to start off by asking, what is New Year's resolution? Can someone give me a... Yeah? A what? Someone to start off with a negative. Just to kind of clarify, New Year's resolution doesn't actually contradict Islam, as far as I'm concerned. So it's not necessarily haram. I was actually here to give a speech in favour of it, and I'm thinking to try and say it. Does anyone know? Like, just give me an idea. I'm sure you've all heard of it before. It's a very common Western term. I'm going to start picking on people because I won't. Yeah?
It's when you start a new year and then promise to lose weight and then
Yeah, exactly that. So it's as I said, it's a Western tradition, but it's also done in the Eastern world. So it originated from the West, of course. And the main purpose of it is to try and change any of our undesired traits, habits, or characters that we have. Things that we want to improve on, habits, anything along those lines, as well as initiate ongoing acts of good. And obviously, last but not least, is to bring positive change within ourselves. So that's what the purpose of New Year's resolution is. Those are the three core principles that are simply defined. Now, why New Year's resolution? What is the purpose of New Year's resolution in terms of why is it a good thing? Does anyone? No one? Let me start then. So as Muslims, which of course we all are here, it's very important for us to try and better ourselves on a day-to-day basis. That's something that we should always be doing. However, in the world that we're in today, it's sometimes very easy to kind of move away from that without actually realizing the importance of trying to better ourselves. So what we can do, obviously we have the little chef over there that said that it's haram. So I'm here to give a couple against it. Don't be waiting outside for me. What we can try and do is to try and use the New Year's resolution and kind of implement it in a positive manner. And the way we can go about doing this is, any little habits that we have, or we can use it to start off as a change of momentum. There's many of us that actually plan to, I'm sure some of you are in GCC, right? You plan to revise. How many of you have actually said to yourselves that you want to revise, and that revision day doesn't actually come? I know I've been in there a lot of times. The next thing you know, you've got the exam coming up, a week or two. For me, it was the day before. Revision or these two are having a conversation with me, so I know you guys definitely have been in that. Anyone else? Yeah? Go on, tell me what is it that you planned and you weren't able to?
I was planning on reading a bit.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it.
You didn't do it, but what did you tell your parents? That you did do it or you told them the truth?
I told them. They didn't ask.
I was testing you there. So these are things that we do willingly and unwillingly. Even for myself, there's so many things that I plan to do, and I find 101 excuses to try and avoid it. or I blame someone else, you know. So having a New Year's resolution pretty much aids us to be able to commit to making the changes. You know, we all hear about the whole thing, new year, new me. So we can try and use that to our advantage. Can anyone give me New Year's resolution? What would be a good New Year's resolution? Can any of you give me a few examples of it? What would be an ideal New Year's resolution for yourself? Yeah.
Maybe to learn new stories.
Maybe to learn new SOAS. Very good one. Yeah. Anyone else?
Try like learn a language like Arabic.
Learn a language like Arabic. Yeah. Very good.
Try out new skills.
Try new skills. What have you got in mind?
Not sure really.
Anyone else? Two more. Go on. I'm going to pick on you because you've got a nice background now.
He's actually eat healthier.
Eat healthier, yeah. So my New Year's resolution for the past probably decade, and my brother's back witnessing this, has probably been to go gym. And as you can see, it's really been working out for me. So, yeah. So we've got, loads of things that I've come up with, just for example, to be good to our parents, to our siblings, to start going gyms, X amount of times a week to lose weight, which as you can see I'm doing. You can even say to knuckle down and to study so you can pass your exams, progress in your career. Now, all of these New Year's resolutions are very good ideas. There's nothing wrong with them, especially the one that he's come up with and you've come up with. They're very, all of you guys have actually valid points. But the New Year's resolution that I would like to talk about today, especially because of your age, is to do with prayer. Now, I personally think, although I'm sure many of you will pray here already 5 times a day, and I'm very confident in that, we need to understand the pure essence of prayer. So, we can make all these resolutions of being an amazing person and a kind person, to be obedient to our parents, respect our elders, but without actually judgment, there's really no value for it. If you can't do the basics of actually prostrating down and appreciating Allah for everything that He has given us, all of our good acts, there is no value in the eyes of Allah. One of the things that I learned in philosophy was that the purpose of, or the value of good exists because of the value of bad, and the value of bad exists because of the value of good. So it's very important for us, it doesn't matter whatever desires, whatever plans that you have, start off with not just praying. As I said, every single one of us do pray 5 times a day, I'm confident. If not, then that should be your New Year's resolution. But my advice to you guys in terms of the New Year's resolution, start off with praying in such a manner that you're actually very aware of your prayer. So, and I speak for myself when I say this, a lot of the times I do pray, I've finished my salah and I just didn't even know how that prayer went. I don't remember the last surah that was being recited by the Imam. And a lot of us tend to be a victim of that. So, as Muslims, we should all know, as I said, that the purpose of this world is pretty much temporary. And although there's nothing wrong with trying to achieve the worldly goals, it's something that we're here to do. That's one of the core objectives to make you guys, motivate you guys. But in terms of your future, your career, your perspective, becoming better people, becoming leaders, educating and learning people. But at the same time, we need to have a balance and remember that if we remember Allah and put Allah first in everything, then we can actually go on to achieve all those things. Allah will clear a path for us and make it easier. So our priority before anything should be salah in such a manner that we're very content and aware of our prayer. And we should do this because at the end of the day, we should count our blessings of what Allah has actually done for us. Everything He has given us. Alhamdulillah, every single one of you got a roof over your head. Anything more is a bonus. So, as I said, many of you guys pray 5 times a day. So you might turn around and say, okay, Jabir is saying, Jabir is requesting me for a New Year's resolution, something that we already do. My main advice, and this is where I actually like to conclude, is that if we can focus by, as he said, picking up the language of Arabic, if we can understand, start off with the small surahs, and actually learn what the Surah Fatiha means, learn every single surah of the surah. What is the surah addressing? Then you can actually gain your confidence in your prayer, and then your prayer will be valid in the eyes of Allah. Because even for myself, and I say this all the time, that a lot of the times we pray and it's nothing but a ritual. So we need to break out of that habit And only then when we connect our salah, we can actually progress in everything else. And last but not least, there's a very famous saying, which is that the prayer is a weapon of a believer. So you want to go on to be a good doctor, you want to go on to be an accountant, you want to go on to be an engineer, you want to go on to be a successful businessman. If your prayer is in such a manner that you're confident in it, you know, every single dua you do, remember every dua that we do is also a form of prayer. It's interlinked together. So if we can make our prayer concrete, then Allah will accept our dua and Allah will pave the way for you guys to kind of be successful in whatever it is that you do. There's nothing wrong in being a businessman. There's nothing wrong in having the high ambitions. A lot of the companions, you know, I'm sure you know about this, but so many different companions that were amazing examples. Successful businessmen, successful businesswomen. One of our beloved and respected Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his wife was not just a businesswoman, a very successful one. Someone that was very well talked about. Everybody knew her for her business initiative, how successful she was. And if we aim to do that, because every single one of us here, I'm sure we all have career ambitions. All we have to do is remember Allah, remember that we're doing this for the sake of pleasing Allah, and we'll be rewarded for something that we're already doing. So is everyone with me and saying that they will try and understand their prayer, ensure that their heart and their soul is in their prayer? Can that be a New Year's resolution? Can we get a huge yes?
Inshallah.
Inshallah. So I'd like to conclude on this note and then hand it over to this brother who I'm also very impressed with, mashallah. A nice young person to manage everything. We need to get rid of the uncles.
Jazakallah for a very inspiring talk. I think it's something we all needed to hear and we can all take something away from it. So moving on, I'd like to invite Sheikh studying in Damascus in Syria and has completed an Islamic Law degree from the Institute of Fath. He also has a Master's in Islamic Studies from SOAS and a PGCE from UCL. So Sheikh Zillani Miah, we will talk about inspiring the path of scholarship.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد. I think before I start what Brother Jabir was talking about. First of all, I know his whole family, but I've never met him. I know his dad, I know his mom, I know his brothers and sisters, but I never had the chance to meet him. And I think what he has advised us is so important, especially not just us, but you as well. Because we have a tendency, when you're very young, your prayers tends to be quite fast, relatively very fast. So I think that is such a pertinent advice that he has given, not only to us, but to you as well. So please, it's important. And one of the first things that you will be judged on the Day of Judgment is your prayers. Okay? So think about it. That's the first test that you will have on the Day of Judgment, that Allah is going to ask you about your prayers. And if your prayers are not of value, then what is it? What do you have? So that's something they need to bear in mind. And make sure that next time, like the advice that he has given, it's so important. Because whatever habit that you make now will remain with you for the rest of your life. Okay? So you need to make sure that you take time, put some effort, devotion in your prayer. And if you do that now, if you create that habit now, then that will remain with you for the rest of your life. Okay? So when you grow older, when you get to our age, your prayers won't be as fast, all right? Okay, not like a robot. It will mean something. It will become very meaningful. So please bear that in mind. Make sure that you, and that's very, very important advice that he has given us all. Now, moving on to the topic. Now, the topic of scholarship or being, Brother Jabir also talked about having ambition. You have to have, we all have to have ambition. And I'm going to mention 10 things. I'm going to share with you 10 things that you and I, it could be more or less, but relatively what I think, these are the 10 things that we need as you're growing up, okay? If you want to be someone in life, these are the 10 things. What those 10 things are. The two principles, there are two principles. One of the principles that the Prophet ﷺ says, he says, فَكُلُّ مُيَسِّرٍ لِمَا خُلِقَ لَهُ, that you will find the path easy for that what you have been created for. So in other words, what you have been created for, you will find that path easy. So if you have been created to become a footballer, then you will find becoming a footballer very easy. If you have been created to become a doctor or a teacher or a businessman, whatever path that Allah has created you for, that path will become very easy for you. So remember that. That's the first point. Okay, that's the first point. The second point is that the Prophet in another hadith, he says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِمِ. We know there's another hadith where إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that verily actions are judged by intentions. Absolutely. Or whatever you intend, you will get. But this is another hadith where the Prophet says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِمِ, that your deeds, you will be judged, okay, towards the end. Hence what Brother Jabir was talking about, the prayers. Now if you pray like a robot, then if you're praying like a robot and you pass away, that's how you will be judged. So you and I, we will be judged according to what we do at the end of our life, not what we did at the beginning, because at the beginning I might have been bad or in the wrong path, but Allah is not going to judge me as a result. He is going to judge you what you do at the end. So now the end is that what matters. Okay? The reason I mention this is that I never had a smooth ride in my education. I was chopping and changing and so on. And that's, I thought I was good at this, then I realized I wasn't good at that, then I chopped and changed, degrees, and finally I found what I love was Arabic. And I mentioned this brother asked me, okay, so, I was studying in France at that time, learning Arabic in France. So I went to France, and this brother came from Britain. He said to me, so what is your background? I said, I was doing chemistry. Didn't you have any mentor or someone, a father or someone to guide you? All right? And that comment he made about me, as if to say, your career is in a mess. What you've been doing is in a mess. All right? And I thought, it might have been a mess back then. But alhamdulillah, I work for University of Oxford, the best university in the world. I think, I don't care what I did in the past. But now, so I thought, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what path you go and, however you're going, whatever. As long as, towards the end, you made it. That's what counts. All right? But Zoino used to work for Darul before. All right? He never got a smooth ride. But when he moved to barking, everything is cushy. Okay? So it doesn't matter. The past doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are in the past. What matters is what you are now. Who are you now? Okay? So these are the two principles I wanted to start off with. Okay? So the first one is that you will find the path easy for that what you have been created for. Okay? And secondly, is what the end that matters. And that is what that matters. These are the two principles. Now, the 10 things that I want to share with you, and I won't take you too long. The first thing is to dream big. You have to have high ambition. You have to have fire in your belly. You want to dream, you have to have big dreams. Okay? Now, one of the, my whole talk is all about related to Surah Yusuf. And Surah Yusuf is a beautiful surah. Okay? In Surah Yusuf, alayhi salam, he saw a dream. All right. And what does he do when he sees that dream? Anybody know? When he's and the moon doing prostration in front of him. Does anybody know what did he do straight after he saw the dream? He goes and tells his father the dream. All right. He sees a dream that he sees the 10 planets along with another one, the moon. All right. Doing what? All of them doing sajda in front of Yusuf alayhi salam. Now, there's a few lessons that we learn from this. The first lesson is that he goes and tells his father, because his father is his mentor. Yeah? That's a very important point. And secondly, how does Allah describe his father? As a moon. The moon in Arabic culture is something beautiful. Yeah? So the moon is something beautiful. He goes to his father and says, what? I saw this. I saw that the 10 planets, according and prostration in front of me. Now, here Allah describes his father as the moon. What does the moon do? Now we have lights, we can't appreciate what the moon does. The moon illuminates the path for you. So what does the father do? The mentor. What does the mentor do? The mentor illuminates the path for you. So when he sees that path, when he saw that dream, he goes and tells his father, this is what I saw. Now, this is very important. When you dream big and you want to materialize visualize your dream, okay? So the first thing is to dream big, as big as possible, okay? Who cares if it doesn't materialize? If I don't become a doctor, if I don't become this, if I don't go to a fantastic university, who cares? At least, can anybody stop you from dreaming? Nobody can stop you from dreaming. Okay, and that's very important. Muhammad Salah, those who are Muhammad Salah, the footballer, right? If you look at his history, it's important that you look at even Ronaldo and people like, you should look at their background. They're not who they were when they were young. All right, you need to read their stories behind. They became this because of their hard work and so on. Muhammad Salah, he had to take he has to walk back a few miles just to get the bus so he can go training. All right, now look at him. So imagine in Egypt, in the deserts, he had to walk a few miles just to get onto the bus because he had a dream. All right, he had an ambition. He wanted to become a football player. That's a very important thing, that you and I, we need to have a dream, whatever it might be. Like Brother Jabir said, be a businessman, be it a doctor, be it a lawyer, whatever it might be, have a dream. All right, that's a very important point. And you need someone to help you in that. Okay. Now, Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was thrown in the well. All right, what happened afterwards? Anybody know? When he was thrown in the well, right? His brother conspired against him, right? You know the story, yes? All right? Because Yusuf alayhi salam was very, his father liked him because he was the youngest. Yaqub alayhi salam loved him very much, all right? Because he was the youngest and he was very handsome and so on, and he was very obedient as well. So his father loved him so much. And all the other brothers were jealous of him. So what they said, they conspired against him, said, you know what? Let's get rid of him. Let's get rid of his Yusuf so that our father, what we'll do, he will probably like us more. Okay, so what they did was they threw him, they wanted to kill him first. They said, no, let's not kill him. Let's just throw him in the well and we go to our father and tell him a fox or a wolf ate him. Okay, a wolf ate him or a fox ate him. Okay, so he went, all right, and threw Yusuf alayhi salam in the well. So a caravan was passing by and they saw Yusuf. They wanted some water in the well. They threw the rope down, the bucket down, and all of a sudden they realized there's a boy, such a beautiful boy. Where did this boy come from? Yusuf, when he came out, he did not say to those people, you know what? Do you know why I'm here? I am here because my brothers did this, conspired against me. He didn't say anything. Why is that? Why do you think he didn't say anything? He could have easily said, if he wanted to, he could have gone home. All right? He could say, look, you know what? I'm here because my brothers threw me in the well. They were, evil towards me and so on. They don't like me. But he doesn't do that. He does not say to them anything because he knew there's a destiny. He wanted to tread the path of destiny. Something bad happens to us. We're forever complaining. We complain. Oh, this happened, or this happened, or that happened, and so on. I remember before my current job, I was in another post, right, in another university. And I was having a terrible time with that manager. I had a manager, it was a terrible time. And I was complaining. I'd come home to my wife and said, you know what, I'm going through hardship. I was complaining. I wanted to be resolved because I want, but my destiny was somewhere else. If I just said to myself, because we're all human nature, human beings at the end of the day, we complain, we're not satisfied, all right? So I wanted that thing to be resolved so that I can do my work. But because your destiny is something else, we don't realize what Allah's divine plan is for you. So it's very important to be content with whatever Allah has ordained for you. Be happy what Allah has given you, all right? And whatever path you're in, be happy what you're in, okay? You don't know where Allah is going to lead you to. Again, like I said earlier, that you will find the path easy for that what you have been creative. Now, I used to teach English before. Okay, I used to teach English, idea store, all right, where Brother Zono used to manage. And in a lesson, in one of those lessons, I shared a dream with my students. And I said to them, I want to teach either in University of Oxford or Cambridge. And this is like 10 years ago. All right, that was my dream. And I shared that dream with my students. Okay, and lo and behold, after 10 years, because that you have to have that dream. If you don't have a dream, what do we live for? What's going to make you wake up? So it's very important. Before that, I wanted to study, and Allah made the path for me to study. No problem. I went to France and I went to Syria. I had no issues studying, no problem. So it's very important that you have a dream, all right, and it doesn't matter how audacious or how unrealistic it might be, but you must have a dream. You must have role models. Every football player, if you ask them, okay, who's your role model, they will always mention someone they previously like Zidane or Pele or Maradona or someone like that. They will always mention someone like that, whatever position they play. All right. Similarly, you need to have role models, because you need to see that if I want to achieve something, if I want to become something, you want to see someone who has achieved it. The reason why that makes it realistic. All right. That makes it realistic. So that if that person can do it, so can I. All right. I always thought of certain people, and I always shared my dreams with certain people. Okay, I want to go and teach there, or I want to work there. Some people said, I wanted them to say that, or maybe you can do this, but they never said anything. There are some people, they would not, they don't. If you have a dream, they don't like it. They become jealous, and we'll talk about that later. All right. But it's important that you have role models. Okay. Now, when I was growing up, I always had the right people around me. Okay? Like Jabir is the Central Youth Secretary now. When I was growing up, my Central Youth Secretary was Brother Shabir. Yeah. So anything I wanted, or any help that I wanted, or any frustration that I was going through, I always used to go to him. Alright, him, and if there was a few other brothers. You have to have the right people around you. There's a saying in Arabic, Al-mar'u qalilun bi nafsihi, kathirun bi ikhwanihi. By yourself, you are few in number by yourself, but you become a lot when you're in a group. When you're together, look how many of you, right? If you wanted to achieve something, you can. So it's very important to associate yourself with the right people, okay, and the positive people. All right, that's another something I'm going to mention later, but I'll mention it now. Is that you want people that will make you tall. You might be very short, but they make you tall. How? They say how wonderful you are. They say how great you are. Not people who say, I don't think it's possible for you. I don't think you can make it. All right? Okay? They see some bad attribute, or they think you're lazy or something, and think, you know what? Maybe that. All right? Something so lower than what you are planning for. All right? There are people like that, okay? There are people, unfortunately, this is human nature, okay? They don't like seeing people. These are the people you stay away from, all right? They make you very, they belittle you and they make you very small. Rather, you want to be people who make you taller than you are, okay? And that's very important. And you are very fortunate. Here, you are very fortunate that you have the right role models and you have very, very positive people. If it wasn't the case, I don't think this would be established. If you did not have these kind of people like Brother Shabir and Ustaz Shabir and Ustaz Zoinul and Brother Rongo and so on, I don't think it would be possible for something to be established like that. Because barakah comes in when you do it together and there's sincerity. That's when barakah comes, blessing comes. And there's barakah here and you can see it, okay? All right, coming together. So it's important to have role models. The third thing I would say, make a plan. All right, make a plan. I think like Brother, Jabir was saying, New Year's resolution is all about making a plan. Okay, and he was talking about making a plan for your prayers. I'm going to say, make a plan for your life. What do you want to do? All right, and you make a plan every so often. If you want to get excellent GCSE grades, make a plan that I want to get excellent GCSE grades so I can do some A-level, the right A-levels and go to the right universities and so on. All right. If you're still in primary school, make a plan that I want to go to a good secondary school. All right. And most of the time, your parents are making that plan for you, but you need to take part in that. You need to partake in that so that you need to say, well, you know what, I want to plan as well for myself. Okay. That's very important. Once you've achieved it, you make another plan. This plan does not end once you've achieved something, all right? And I wanted to learn Arabic, okay? I went to France to learn Arabic. Then I said, you know what, learning Arabic, I went to Syria. I learned Arabic a bit more. Then I said, you know what, that wasn't enough. All right, I want to go back to Syria and learn about Islam, a bit more about Islam, okay? So you want to continuously make plans. And after I learned, I said, you know what, I want to come back and I want to get a good job. Okay, and then I continuously make plans. And I'm still making plans. Life is like that, okay? And you are in a certain phase in your life, certain stage, okay? Now your plan probably want to go home and play a Nintendo Switch or you want to go and play, that's fine. That's still making plans, right? I think my son was making that plan today. He wanted to play Nintendo Switch or something and then I dragged him over. He's not very happy, as you can see. But make some plan. What do you want to achieve? All right? What do you want to achieve? And discuss that plan with your parents, with your role models. Now, something else that, unfortunately, that we have as human beings is laziness. All right? Laziness. Nobody can escape from that particular attribute. We all have this trait, all right? We all have, we want to be lazy, we want to, but lazy people, it's fine if you had a long term and you're tired and you want to be lazy, that's fine. But that should be something that you do regularly. And the Prophet ﷺ, he's taught us a beautiful dua, all right, that we should recite every morning. Okay, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wal-ajli wal-kasal. Oh Allah, I refrain, I seek refuge from you, from being lazy. Okay? Why? Because laziness is something that we all become lazy. Alright? We have that. And especially now, in this weather, it's so cold, you got no other choice to become lazy, right? You want to wrap yourself up and just sit in front of the TV. Okay? So laziness is something that we all have. But you're not going to achieve anything if you are lazy. Alright, you're not going to achieve anything if you are lazy. Now, I realized that if I wanted to achieve anything, I needed to build up my profile. Alright, I want to become an Arabic teacher. I sacrificed, this is about 10 years ago, Darul. I sacrificed whole of Sunday to teach Arabic for free. And I did that for a whole year. I was missing Liverpool play football, so many things. But I thought, in order to create that profile, I had to do something, alright? Because you have to understand, you can't all of a sudden jump from A to Z. You have to go through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the whole in order to reach Z. So you have to go through the process, whatever that process may be. Okay? You want to become a lawyer, you want to become a doctor, you have to go through the process. You want to become a businessman, you can't steal, it's haram. If you want to jump there, that's the only way, right? If you want to become a businessman, have lots of money, you can go and steal, or, but that's haram. All right, and there'll be no blessing in that. Then you start off small, and then you grow slow gradually. Similarly, whatever you want to do, you have to go through the process, okay? So if it's knowledge you want, or if it's a successful career you want, you have to go through the process. Brother Zoinul, okay, he didn't get his MEB just like that. There's a map, all right? It was the ideal candidate. They didn't give it to him, all right, for various reasons. But he went through the process, and he's got, if not better job than what he should have got now. So it's important that you and I, we have to go through the process, okay? And laziness won't help you. You have to sacrifice your sleep. You have to sacrifice your time in order to achieve your dream. Yeah. Now, I talked about surrounding yourself with positive people. Yeah, we talked about that, and it's a very important point. The next point is that don't be jealous of those people who have made it. All right. So if Zoinul Bhai is now the MEB, I should not say, why didn't I get it? Why is it that they chose him? Why is it not me? All right. Laziness and jealousy is another part of human nature. All right, is another part of that. When someone makes it, we get jealous. All right. Okay. I remember when I went for my interview, right, Oxford, I didn't tell anybody except my mom, and I'll come to that in a minute. After I got the job, and I said, oh, I just got a job, the faces just dropped. People that you expect they're going to be happy for you, all right, they just got jealous because they think, how did he do it? How the heck did he manage to do it? I've known him since he was a little boy. How did he manage? All right, maybe they were very good candidates at that time. That's why you got it, right? Okay, that's jealousy. It's the norm. All right, people will get jealous. Okay, but you know what the cure is? The cure is whoever's made it, whoever has made it. All right. Like I remember. So I initially got the post at Westminster, University of Westminster, to teach Arabic, and then somebody I know got a post at Oxford. And naturally, I was jealous. But I said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to be jealous. I'm going to pray for him. Do you know what happens when you pray for somebody? Do you know what happens if you pray for somebody else who's made it? Or you pray for your brother? Anybody know?
Does Allah return the favor back to you?
Almost, Jabir, there's an angel. All right? There's an angel that says, for you also.
Allah.
Okay? So when you pray, and you make dua for your brother, you say, oh, Wallah grant Mehdi a successful job, oh Allah grant Mehdi a fantastic career, and so on. Allah will say similar. All right, and I did. And I make dua for those brothers and other people as well, especially when you're sujood. And after a few years, alhamdulillah, I got a post there as well. Okay? So, and now that brother who initially got it, he no longer works there. All right, so it's important that you will get jealous. It's a natural thing, but the cure for it is to make dua. And why? Because if you make dua for somebody who's made it, there's an angel who'll be making dua for you as well. Okay. Now, if it's meant to be, it's going to be meant to be. It's going to be meant to be, right? If you're going to get something, you're going to get it. All right, this is qadar. All right, that we believe that if something is meant for me, it's gonna happen. Doesn't matter if the Prophet ﷺ says, if the whole world gathers to benefit you, to do something good for you, they can only benefit you what Allah has willed. If the whole world gathers to harm you, to beat you up, to destroy you, they can only do so what Allah has willed. Okay, so if something is meant to be, you're going to get it. If something is not meant to be, you're never going to get it. All right? Always remember that. Always remember that. In the process, you and I have to be patient. You and I have to be patient. Like I said, you can't go from A to Z. you have to go A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on. And in that process, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do in life, you have to be patient. And the verse says what? It's a very important verse. Allah says, Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Allah is with those who are patient. What does that mean though? What does that mean? It's a very important thing, but it's a very important thing to understand. When Allah says, Inna Allaha ma'a, Allah is with you, their togetherness. Ma'a means to be together with. Right? So He's together with you when you are being patient. So if Allah is next to me, He's with me, what should I do when I'm being patient? What should I do? That's the moment to make dua. That is because Allah, while you're being patient, that's the moment that you and I should make dua. That when whatever has inflicted you, whatever it might be, all right, you've been afflicted with, loss of life, loss of money, your whatever it might be. Allah's going to test you, all right, and that test is to see how patient are you, patient or not. While you are being patient, that's the moment to ask Allah, because why? He is with you. So that you need to ask Allah. That's what it means. Inna Allah ma'a. He's with you at that time. Alright? So bear that in mind. So whatever will be. Okay? Now, the reason I say that, so when I came back from Damascus, right, I did a course, CELTA course, like a lot of people do this CELTA, English, teaching for English as a foreign language. And I did that. This is like 2007. Right, I came back from Damascus 2007, and I did that course in November, December. There was a job at Cambridge, and I applied for it. They did not even reply back, all right? And I thought, I was so disappointed. I thought, maybe, and the minimum qualification they wanted was that center. And I thought, what, that's possible. I might be able to get it. But no. I had to go through what? The process. I had to be patient. It's in my destiny that I'm going to get that. Now I realize it. And that's a very important point. Something that you would realize not now. You would realize something after a long time. That what is meant to be, look, you didn't get it then, maybe because I wasn't able. Maybe I wasn't capable enough. Maybe I was, So what Allah did, He took me from A, B, C, D, and eventually got me that, So you have to believe in the destiny and the process, and be patient. Be patient. Now, just a few more and I'll inshallah finish off. Now, dua is fundamental. Whatever you want to achieve in life, you have to make dua. Alright? That's what makes it real. Dua is what is going to make you achieve whatever you want to achieve. Alright? And there's a beautiful verse where Allah says, إِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my servant asks me, tell him I'm very close to him. You know that ma'a I talked about togetherness? He said, when my servant asks me, when he calls me, tell him I'm very close to him. And now this particular verse is very unique in the sense that the chapter starts off with, that particular portion starts off Surah Ramadan. Right, sorry, the theme of Ramadan. And this verse is right in the middle of the verses of Ramadan. So in other words, what? Ourselves in dua when the month of Ramadan comes, and that's the time to make dua. Whatever you want in life, whatever it might be, money, career, GCSEs, this is the time to make dua. Okay, because this is what you want, ambition, right? And then Allah, inshallah, will realize it for you. Okay, so make dua by yourself and ask your parents to make dua for you. Those who have still parents, right? You are very fortunate, okay? Because you still have parents alive. You can go ask them. I don't have my parents alive, okay? But I remember that before I went for the interview, I asked my mom. I didn't tell where I'm going, where the interview is taking place. I said to my mom, can you make dua for me? And I am 100% sure that I got this particular job because of my mother. Why? Because a mother or a father's prayer is never, the Prophet says, never rejected. When the father, the mother makes dua for you, it is never rejected. And that's something that you need to learn now. Not when you grow older. You need to go and ask your parents, okay, if you're going through some hardship, or you're going through some difficulty, or you've got a test coming up, you ask your parents to make dua for you. Your parents might be quite young, it doesn't matter, they don't have to be old to make dua for you, alright? But if they, and the Prophet didn't say, oh, your parents have to be at a certain age to make dua. No. A parent's dua, whether it's a father or a mother, is not rejected. 3 people's dua are not rejected. And one of them is the parent's dua. So you need to start learning how. Remember I talked about habits? Alright? Whatever you do now, you need to habituate yourself by doing these things. Okay? So that's very important. So you make dua for yourself, you ask your parents to make dua for yourself, and you ask people to make dua for yourself as well. People that you think they're very good, alright? You think they're very good, they're pious, they're, you ask them to make dua for you. Okay? It's very important, because you don't know whose dua will be accepted and whose dua won't be accepted. We know for the parents for sure, but there are other people, alright? There are other people, when they raise their hands up, Allah does not reject their prayer. Okay? So it's very important to make dua for yourself and ask your parents to do so. Now the penultimate one is to be confident. The Prophet ﷺ, alright, lots of people used to come with, he used to correspond with so many different kind of people, alright? He used to correspond with the Romans, the Byzantines, the people from Syria, people from, different kind of people. And obviously he wasn't fluent in those languages, alright? He wasn't fluent. He wasn't fluent in Syriac, he wasn't fluent in Hebrew, he wasn't fluent in any of those languages. Now, he didn't want, and it's important that he appoints Zayd ibn Thabit, his companion. He said, oh Zayd, alright, do you know Syriac? Are you proficient in Syriac? It's a language, right? Semitic language, okay? An old language, ancient language, okay? So he said, no, but I can learn it. Alright, he can learn it. He said he learnt it. Do you know how long he took it? 17 days. You want to learn Arabic? Alright? It took him 17 days to learn Syriac. And he also learned Hebrew in 15 days. 15 days it took him to learn, and 17 days. So in other words, 32 days, right, to learn 2 languages. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because the first reason is that the Prophet ﷺ had confidence in Zayd that he can do it. Alright? Secondly, he had confidence in himself that he can do it. Alright? Because the Prophet has told me to do something. If he's got confidence in me, why can't I do it? He learned it. He mastered it. So that the reason why he did it, he mentions in the hadith, the reason he did it is that when people are writing to the Prophet, if you got a translator, alright, that he learnt it, so that whatever the Prophet is going to say, it will be there correctly, alright, so that there's no need for translators. Okay, I will translate. So can you imagine that the audacity he had to say, I can do it, and that's what you need. That's the audacity that you need to have. You can do it. You want to learn Arabic? You can do it. Okay, you have to be confident. And one of the maqasid, one of the objectives of Islam is to instill confidence in the Ummah. If you look at the hadith and the verses, right, you gather them and you see them, the Prophet ﷺ in the Quran instills much confidence in companions. Alright? So you can do whatever you want to do. You can do it. Have that faith and ambition that you can do it. And don't let anybody else say otherwise. Alright? Now finally, the final point, that all of this that I just shared, in all of this we need tawfiq. We need divine help to go A to Z, alright, to become whatever you want. You need Allah's assistance, alright? And nothing is possible without Allah's help. Nothing is possible without Allah's help. And nothing is impossible with Allah's help. Okay? So make this dua. This dua is beautiful. Allahumma waffiqni wa Allahumma waffiqna lima tuhibbu wa tarda. Oh Allah, give me the ability, give me the divine help, so that whatever I want to do, I can achieve. Whatever good that you have desired, I can achieve it. Whatever you desire, let me achieve that. Okay? So nothing is possible without Allah's help, and nothing is impossible with Allah's help. Make this dua regularly to make the impossible possible. Okay. May Allah give us the ability to practice what we have just said. All right, and may Allah make the impossible possible for us.
Amen.
Jazakallah for that very powerful. So Jazakallah for that very powerful speech. I think you can take a lot from it. I'd just like to open the floor if anyone has any questions for the Sheikh about his speech or about anything else, or any concerns, any questions. You got one? Jabir.
So, Sheikh, you've given us a dua to come out of laziness, but you know, I think there's a story about how, you know, about a man who said, I put my trust in Allah, but he didn't tie his camel. So, and then you come back, the camel isn't there. So obviously you have to trust Allah by tying the camel, and then, so for a lot of us and ambitions, finding the momentum or finding the motive, how do we, although we have dreams of achieving X, Y, and Z, especially in terms of career path, how do we actually go, what advice can you give us to actually get that ball rolling in terms of actually being able to wake up and getting through the day and have, you know, forcing ourselves to study? What advice would you give us for that?
Yeah. I mean, that's a very important point. You know, there's a concept in the Quran, all right, of the few. All right, he will also say qalilun. There's a lot of verse about the minority. Okay, that only the few who are grateful, only the few who are muhsinin, shakirin. You know, so not everyone's going to make it. All right, that's a fact. Not everyone's going to make it. Okay, not everyone's going to be doctors and engineers and businessmen and so on. All right, that's not. You know, if you count how many millionaires, you can count them on your fingers, right? So, and if you count how many successful people there are, you can count them on your fingers. Not everyone's going to make it. That's the first thing. Secondly, it's not meant to be maybe. All right, it's not meant to be whatever you. Maybe the path something completely different, or whatever. Right? You're not doing what you've been created for. So that's something else. Also, in order to materialize your dream, you have to have fire in your belly, as they say, right? You have to have fire in your belly. If you don't have that, you're going to be where you are for the rest of your life. All right? You're going to be where you are for the rest of you. What do you want to achieve? My goal, I remember, I wanted to first go to France, right? And then I thought, well, my mom's going to pay. My dad wasn't alive, all right? He passed away then. He passed away when I was about 17. Okay, so after that, when I wanted to go to France, and I said, you know what, I want to go to France. But I knew what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to go and learn Arabic first, all right? So I had a part-time job. I went and worked. I went to Dagenham and I worked. And I earned that money. And I made that money so I can go. You have that inner desire, all right, that you want to achieve something. What makes it possible as well, when you have people who are doing it or, you know, or have done it. So you have to have the right group of people around you. If you're with a bunch of losers, then you're always going to be losers. All right? Because they don't have high aspiration. If you're with people that high, lofty spiritual ambition, whatever, you know, getting closer to God, you know, and then that will have an impact on you as well. And you will see like-minded people always associate themselves with those kind of people. All right? Businessman, if you go to a wedding, right? Wedding is a classic example in our society. Certain tables you'll see, they're all businessmen. They just somehow attract that kind of particular group of people, right? What do you think they're talking about? Politicians, all right? And you'd see that as well. You know, all the politicians are in the same table because they, you naturally attract like-minded people. So what do you want to achieve? All right? And you have to go and associate yourself with those kind of people. And then that becomes easier. Because the discussion topics and all of that becomes that. Yeah. So I would say having fire in your belly and making sure that you you associate yourself with those people who want to achieve what you want to achieve. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
How do you get fire in your belly?
Literally or metaphorically?
Literally, I probably can't work it out then.
You know, mentors, like that's the first thing I talked about, right? Okay, the first point I spoke about is having the right mentor. You know, if you would see, right, you know, like gangsters and so on, or mafias, and you know, they have a role model, they have the godfather. He kind of lays it out what he wants all the people to achieve, want them to achieve, right? You know, it's got, they have set goals. He set goals like, you're going to make X amount of money for me, you're going to do this for me, you're going to do that for me, right? If you don't have the right mentors, okay, and they're saying this is what you want to achieve, like for example, Jabir said, you know, like we want to, you know, in order to make our prayer of worthwhile, we need to understand the Quran, right? Okay. Now your mentor will give you the practical steps into materializing that. How can I realize this? All right, the practical steps. So you need people who's going to give you that practical advice in order to realize that particular dream. Yeah. So, and when you see, okay, it's possible. When you see the path is that it's possible, then you start treading that path, whatever it might be. And then that's when the fire starts, basically, because you can see the end, and the fire burns, and so that you want to achieve your end goal. You know, sometimes you might not have the right mentor. There was a point in my life, okay, I wanted to give up Arabic. I gave up Arabic because the person teaching me was very dry. All right, very, you know, it was so dry, and I said to one brother, so you have to, you know, and we think we don't need mentors. We get as a grow older, we do, all right. And people have mentors for different, a football team is a classic example. The manager, day in, day out, because that's his job, right? We don't have anybody who's going to mentor us, right? Unless you have a father figure who's, you know, clued on, all right? So if you don't, that's why an organization, or when you have an organization, all right, the Amir is the father figure, he's our ultimate mentor. If not, the organization collectively will mentor you as well, instill that fire in your belly as well. Okay, but if he doesn't do it, doesn't mean, you know, you can ignite that fire within yourself. What do you want to achieve? Who do you want to be in 5 years' time? What do you want to learn? Yeah. Okay. So it's all up to you. It all goes back to the person itself. Yeah.
Any more questions? Anyone else?
Final question.
Yeah, final question.
Sheikh, I have to ask a question, or maybe an observation as well. I think one of the interesting things when you were talking, and I was reflecting, both in terms of when I was growing up and when you were growing up, and Shabir and all of us, I don't think if we were in a crowd, anyone would have said, I would have made it, you'd have made it. It wasn't obvious. And I think that's really important, that what Sheikh has said, that Allah chooses the path. And if you have the confidence in the belief and everything else that you've said, that is so powerful. That belief, because your mind always will say, no, you can't do it. The negative thoughts will come. If all of us could control our mind, then we'd be in a different world. But I was so reflective in the sense that, if I was honest, I was saying, we won. So if we chose two people, then I would have been one of them. Maybe Sheikh, you wouldn't have been one of them. But actually, mothers, parents, dua, everything else that you've said, something has happened somewhere in order for us to be where we are. And I think, just reflect on that today. Go and sleep. Every time I think about something, I see it in a dream. There's an element of dreaming and there's an element of dreaming. But something about the mind, Sheikh. So tell us something about the mind. How the mind.
Save it for another day.
With the food coming is taking a little bit
All
of
right,
time.
okay.
You can, I think appreciating what we have is very important, and looking at what we could have, if we didn't have that, where would you be? And taking that, looking, for example, we were growing up, we take things for granted. The food's on the table, you don't have to go and ask anybody for food. Or you look at maybe Bangladesh or where you got poor people, they don't even have the opportunity to eat properly, let alone go and have a career and have aspirations. So young people here, you look at that and you see you have all this opportunity and all this advice. You've got to take that opportunity and use it to your advantage, basically. Because a lot of you guys are taking things for granted. I'm not generalizing it that much, but people are. Young people nowadays seem to play on their PlayStation or Xbox. I'm not saying these guys do it, but that seems to be generally the thing, and everything else is on the buy side. So they need to balance that. Obviously, that's all in your book. I just want to highlight, if you appreciate what you have, and then take advantage of that. Yeah, that would be a good start, I think. Like I said, we've got a few minutes before the group, so if you want to ask.
Just to add to what Sheikh was saying, I think everything he said about a mentor, it just made me realize I actually had a mentor, and it made it all more clearer after what Sheikh has said. And Sheikh made a very good example about how he had a objective in mind of what he wanted to do, and he ended up changing his path. Like myself, I don't actually work in the field where I graduated from. So it's not, we all have this idea that, another example that Sheikh mentioned is how a lot of people who say they don't like their jobs. It's like, if you don't like your job, you have all the ability in your hands to change it. In terms of the mentorship, even for myself, I had a mentor who actually, I was once upon a time a tenant for a commercial property, and he turned around and he said to me one day, this was about 5-6 years ago, he said to me, I just don't like the fact that you're in this line of business in terms of as a business. He said to me, you can aspire to be so much more. So he ended up introducing me to the trading floor, the trading market. And in the beginning, when I think about the journey, 1.5 to 2 years, I was very weak at maths. Up until today, I still am. And I couldn't make sense of 90%, 95%. It was probably the hardest thing I've done in my life. It was more harder than a degree, because I didn't come from that background. I didn't come from an economics background or background from finance, something like that. But because of his lifestyle, he was, for me, he was like an ustad. He was a spiritual father for both the dunya and the akhirah. And he passed away actually February last year. So when I saw his success and how content he was with life, not just in terms of financially, but with his family, I saw him, as I said, as another spiritual father. I was someone they used to take him to the hospital. He saw me as a son, Even my dad knows about the relationship. My father's probably met him, I'd say, 5 to 10 times max. He speaks very highly of him, so you can imagine. And I realized that because he was my mentor at that time, without me realizing, he was an inspiration for me. I kept on saying to myself, you know what, he can do it, he has done it, so I'm going to see this through one way or another. 2 years, I couldn't make sense of anything. Slowly, things started falling into place. I was slowly able to kind of put all the pieces of the puzzles together. Now, alhamdulillah, I am where I'm at today. So I think, as Sheikh said, we don't realize how important being a mentor is. And I advise all of you young people, whatever ambitions or whatever it is that you have, even if you don't know of someone, you have all these respected elders. You can come and reach out to us and say, look, I want to get into this field, I need advice, can you point us to the right direction? Or can you introduce us to someone? And we'll do everything in our power, in our ability, inshallah, to try and provide those mentors for you. Inshallah, as the Sheikh has mentioned, very important about mentoring. I think that's something that's one of the most important things that we should reflect from here. Because if we can see the success of that mentor, that will be that fire, that will be that kick, that will be that desire that we need. If we don't see it, then it's very difficult for us to achieve. It's like, when, I'm sure all of you guys are into cars, when you see a beautiful Range Rover and Mercedes, you're like, wow, I want that. But how many of us actually think about the difficulties that person must have gone through in order for him to actually be able to achieve that car? we don't think about it. Automatically we just picture ourselves in the car. You know, it's like a fantasy. So that's where I would conclude. Hopefully that will be the last remarks from me.
Jazakallah for that. If no one else has any more remarks, we'll start to conclude. Just to say thank you to both our guests, Sheikh Zillani Miah and Ustad Jabir, for giving up their time to inspire the next generation here. I'd like to request
الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم آمين الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد اللهم ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث ومن عذابك نستجير أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا ولا إلى أحد من خلقك طرفة عين اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في ديني ودنياي وأهلي ومالي واحفظ أولادنا واحفظ أحبابنا يا خير الحافظين آمين. اللهم هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما اللهم رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا اللهم يا Allah, you are the most kind, you are the most merciful, you are the most compassionate. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Allah, we ask you that you forgive us and shower your mercy upon us. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Allah, we have gathered some souls to remember you and to remember your Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, whatever we have said, Ya Allah, give us the ability to practice everything Allah we have just said today. Ameen. Ya Allah, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, if we have made any mistakes in our lifetime, Ya Allah, we ask you that you forgive us and have mercy upon us. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Allah, we ask you that everybody who is involved in this project, Darul Goresbrook, Allah, we ask you that you give them, make them successful in their endeavors, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Allah, forgive us and have mercy upon us. Ya Allah, there are some few souls here, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, you know our needs better than we do, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, if there is anyone who is going through any difficulty, we ask you that you alleviate their difficulty from them, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, we ask you that you make every single one of us here, sitting here, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, who have raised our hands, successful both in this life and the hereafter, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, we ask you that you give us the divine ability, the divine assistance so that we can achieve our dreams, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, we ask you that you make amongst us great Muslims, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, raise the youth from here, Ya Allah. Make them the beacons of Islam, Ya Allah, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, Allahumma Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka anta as-sami'ul 'alim wa tub 'alayna innaka anta at-tawwab.
Sit around, we got some travel, it's taking a lot longer than